Let me ask you something honest. The last time you were angry, and I mean really angry, not just annoyed, but that hot thing in your chest that makes your hands go tight, what did you do with it? Because I know what most people do. I've watched people do it for 100 years. And I'm going to tell you right now, before we go any further, most of what you think you're supposed to do when you're angry, it's wrong, all of it. And it's costing you things you can't get back. I have been angry. God, have I been angry. I'm talking about the kind of anger that sits in your body like a stone. The kind you carry around for years thinking it's protecting you, and you don't realize until much later that it was just weighing you down. And I figured some things out, not quickly, not gracefully, but I figured them out. And I want to give them to you now, because you don't have the luxury of learning them the slow way I did. So, 7 things. 7 things you should never ever do when you're angry. The first one is the one that'll sting. Never say the thing you rehearsed. You know what I mean? That speech. The one you've been building in your head for 3 days, maybe 3 weeks, about what you're going to say to your brother, your boss, your wife, your father. You've polished it. You've got the best lines, the perfect order, the exact moment where you pause for effect. You know exactly which part is going to land like a knife. Don't say it. Here's why. That speech isn't about resolution. It's about winning. And when you walk into a fight trying to win, you are walking into it trying to destroy the other person. And you might succeed. And then what? You've won. Congratulations. Look at what it cost you. I had a fight with my son Enzo in 1991. He didn't speak to me for 2 years. 2 years. And you know what I had walking into that fight? A speech. Oh, I had a beautiful speech. I had specific sentences I'd been building for months. I knew exactly how to make him feel small. I knew exactly which words would break through his stubbornness. And I used them. Every one. And he walked out of my house and didn't call me for 24 months. Was I right about the things I said? Probably, yes. The content of what I said was accurate, but I said it as a weapon. I said it to wound, not to reach him. And there's a difference, a massive difference, between being right and being effective, between being honest and being cruel. When you're angry, your brain does this thing where it tells you that the prepared speech is necessary, that you've been holding back too long, that they need to hear it. And maybe that's even true. But the version you've rehearsed in your head, in your worst moments, that version is not trying to fix anything. That version is trying to make someone feel as bad as you do. So if you need to have the conversation, have it. But throw out the script. Come in with your actual feelings instead of your greatest hits. Second thing, never make a permanent decision in a temporary state. I mean this practically. I mean this about real decisions. Don't quit your job on the Tuesday after a bad meeting. Don't end a 15-year friendship over one dinner. Don't sell the house. Don't send the email at 11 o'clock at night when your hands are still shaking. Here's what anger actually is, physiologically. It's your body preparing to fight or run. Your heart rate goes up. Blood goes to your muscles. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that thinks about consequences, it goes quiet. Anger is designed to make you act fast and without consideration. It served us beautifully when the threat was a predator. It serves us terribly when the threat is a difficult conversation. In 1963, a man came to my shop. Let me call him Raymond, though that wasn't his name. Good customer for years. He came in fuming, barely holding it together. His business partner had cut him out of a deal. He was describing what happened to me, getting louder and louder, and he said, "Sal, I'm going to walk into that office tomorrow, and I'm going to tell him exactly what I think. And then I'm going to pull my money out and start over from nothing." I was stitching a sole. I didn't look up. I said, "How much money?" He said, $30,000, which in 1963 was a fortune. I said, "Okay, come back in 3 days and tell me you still want to do it." He came back in 3 days. He didn't want to do it anymore. He was still angry, but the decision had changed because his brain was working again. He and that partner stayed in business together for another 18 years. 3 days. That's the rule I give everyone. 3 days before you do anything irreversible. If you still want to do it in 3 days, do it. But give your brain time to come back online first. Third, never use anger as a substitute for grief. This one is harder to understand, but once you see it, you'll see it everywhere. When something hurts us, really hurts us, anger is easier. Anger has a direction. Anger has energy. Grief just sits there and hurts. And so we convert it. We take the thing that's breaking us and we turn it into fury at whoever is nearest, or whoever we can blame. I watched myself do this for years after I lost Anna Maria. I was 31. She died on a Thursday, hanging laundry in a yellow dress. And she was there, and then she wasn't. And I had 2 small children and the shop, and no idea what I was doing. And I was so angry at God, at the neighborhood, at my customers who kept bringing me their broken shoes as if life was continuing normally, at my father for dying 3 years earlier and leaving me without someone to call. For 2 years, I thought I was an angry man. I thought that was just who I'd become. And then one night, this was 1954, Lucia was about 8. She asked me why I never cried. I realized that I hadn't. Not once since the funeral. Not actually. I'd been too busy being furious at everyone and everything. That night I cried for about 4 hours. And I woke up the next morning, and for the first time in 2 years, I didn't feel that stone in my chest. The anger hadn't protected me. It had just postponed me. So if you're angry right now, I want you to ask yourself an honest question. Is there grief underneath this? Because if there is, the anger is never going to fix it. You have to go through the grief. There is no way around it. You can only go through. Fourth, never fight in front of people who can't unhear it. This is a simple one, but most people don't think about it until it's too late. Children, especially children, but also employees, parents, friends who'll have to choose sides. I'm going to be specific with you. When you fight in front of your kids, even once, even the one time you couldn't help it, even the time you thought they were asleep, they carry that. It goes into them, not as a memory necessarily, but as a feeling, as an understanding of what love looks like under pressure. You're teaching them every single day. You're teaching them what adults do when they're hurt. What happens when two people who love each other can't agree? Whether rage is something that gets used on people you love, or something that gets taken outside, worked through privately, brought back in as something manageable. My daughter Lucia told me something 2 years ago that I've been thinking about ever since. She said, "Papa, the thing I learned from you about marriage was that fighting isn't the problem. It's where you take the fighting." She said, "I never fought with Rosa, my sister, who lived with us, in front of the children. We'd go to the kitchen, close the door, get it done, and then come back out. I don't even remember making that decision consciously, but she remembered it. 40 years later, she remembered it, and it shaped how she handled her own marriage. You are always teaching, even when you think nobody's watching, especially then. Fifth, never punish someone with your silence. I know silence feels like the dignified choice. It feels like rising above. You're not screaming. You're not saying things you'll regret. You're just withdrawing, maintaining your composure, taking space. But there is a difference, and I need you to really hear this. There is a difference between taking space to calm down, which is healthy and necessary, and using silence as a weapon to make someone feel punished, which is one of the most corrosive things you can do to a relationship. I know people who've weaponized silence for decades. A woman I knew, I won't say her name, she and her husband went 3-4 days without speaking after fights. And they thought they were being mature. They thought they were avoiding saying something worse. But what was actually happening was that each silence was building a little more distance, a little more proof that connection between them was fragile. a little more evidence that when things got hard, they disappeared from each other. 32 years of marriage and they were strangers. Here's the rule I found. You can say, I need an hour. You can say, I'm too hot right now. Let me go walk and I'll come back. You can say, I love you and I can't talk about this tonight, but tomorrow morning we talk. That's space. That's legitimate. What you cannot do is just go cold and leave someone in the dark without a word. Because the message that sends, the message that always lands, even when you don't intend it, is I will disappear from you when I'm in pain. And once someone believes that about you, they start protecting themselves from you. And that protection is the beginning of the end. Sixth, never let anger convince you that you're owed something. Entitlement is anger's best disguise, and it is very convincing. You work hard, you do the right things, you sacrifice, and then something unfair happens. And it will. Life is unfair, I promise you that. And the anger that comes up tells you, this is wrong. You're owed better. Someone should pay for this. And maybe that's even partially true. Maybe something was unfair. But the story that you deserve compensation from the universe for your suffering, that story will hollow you out. I rebuilt my shop after the fire in 1978. I was 58 years old, standing in ashes, and I had every reason, every logical reason to feel owed. I had built that shop for 30 years. I had given that neighborhood everything I had. I had never cheated anyone, never overcharged anyone, fixed shoes for free for kids whose families couldn't pay. And the shop burned anyway. Electrical fire. Nobody's fault. Just life being what life is. And for about a week, I was furious at the unfairness of it. I'm not going to pretend I wasn't. I walked around with this deep sense that I deserved better than this. And then one morning, Mrs. Chen knocked on the door of my apartment with a container of soup and an envelope. Inside the envelope was $60 and a note that said, for the reopening. She was a laundromat owner. She didn't have $60 to spare. She gave it anyway. And something broke open in me, because I had been so focused on what I was owed that I hadn't left any room to receive what was being given. Anger that's rooted in entitlement closes you. It makes you a fist instead of an open hand. And life gives its gifts to open hands. I'm not saying don't fight injustice. Fight it, loudly. But there's a difference between fighting injustice and nursing a wound while the world keeps going without you. And the seventh thing, the one I want you to sit with the longest, never mistake your anger for your identity. I was an angry young man. I want you to know that. Not in the movies way, not in the cool, brooding way. I mean, I had a real temper, got into fights, came home with bloody knuckles more than once, defended everything loudly and with my fists when words weren't coming fast enough. And for a long time, I thought that was just who I was. Sal's hot-blooded. Sal doesn't back down. That's just Sal. I wore it like a coat, like a thing that protected me. What I didn't understand, and I was well into my 40s before I understood this, was that the anger wasn't me. The anger was a response. It was what I built to survive things. The mother I lost at 5. The father who worked so hard he didn't have room for softness. The neighborhood that made you prove yourself with your body before you got any respect. The wars, the losses, the years of building something only to watch it disappear. All of that was real. All of that warranted some anger. But I had fused the response to the identity. And that's where the trouble was. Because when your anger is your identity, you can't ever put it down. Putting it down feels like losing yourself. So you hold it forever, long after it's done anything useful, because it's all you know. My father had a phrase. He used to say it in Italian. Il fuoco è un buon servitore, ma un cattivo padrone. Fire is a good servant, but a bad master. He was talking about the forge, the furnace. But I've thought about it my whole life in terms of anger, because anger can serve you. It can tell you that something's wrong. It can give you energy to act. It can light you up when you need to fight for something real. It's a good servant. There are things I've built, stands I've taken, moments I would not have survived without the fire. But the second you let it become your master, the second you start organizing your life around it, making decisions from it, letting it tell you who you are, you've lost something essential. You've handed your life over to a very loud, very blind thing, and it will drive you somewhere you don't want to go. I am 104 years old, and I want to tell you, the angriest people I have ever known were not the toughest. They were the most frightened. Every single one, because anger, at its bottom, is almost always fear. Fear of being disrespected, fear of being powerless, fear of loss, fear of being wrong, fear of not mattering. The day you can look at your anger and ask, "What are you afraid of?" That's the day you start actually being in charge of yourself. So, let me bring this all together for you, because this matters. You're going to get angry today, maybe tomorrow, probably this week. Something is going to happen that's unfair, or hurtful, or maddening. And someone is going to disappoint you, or disrespect you, or let you down. That is guaranteed. I have lived 104 years, and I can guarantee that. And when it happens, you have a choice. Not about whether the anger comes. It comes. It's human. It's fine. But about what you do with it. Don't reach for the rehearsed speech. Don't make the permanent decision. Don't convert your grief. Don't perform it in front of people who can't unhear it. Don't punish with silence. Don't let it convince you you're owed. And don't let it tell you who you are. The fire is a good servant. Keep it that way. My father had hands like tree roots from 60 years of working leather. He was not a tender man. He was not a man who said, "I love you" easily or often. But I will tell you this, in the last years of his life, there was a peace in him, a settledness, like a man who had fought his battles and chosen, somewhere along the way, to stop fighting the ones that didn't deserve his energy. I asked him once, when I was maybe 25, how he'd gotten so calm, because I remembered him from my childhood as a man with a short fuse, a man who threw things across the room when he was pushed. He thought about it for a long time. Then he said in Italian, "I got tired of carrying it." He put it down, just like that. Or not just like that. It took him 40 years, probably. But one day he put it down. You can put it down too. Not because you're weak, not because you don't care, but because you're smart enough to know the difference between a fire that warms you and a fire that burns down the house. I'm going to go make my coffee now, the same way I've made it every morning for as long as I can remember. That mocha pot has outlasted most of what I've owned. But before I go, call someone today, not to fight, just to call, just to hear their voice and let them hear yours. Because one day you're going to want to make that call and you won't be able to. That's the one thing I can promise you.